I'm hoping this is making sense to you. We're going to go ahead and do a problem with some positives and negatives now, mixing it up a little bit. All right, let me adjust so that I make sure y'all see the whole page. All right, we're still following the same steps here. Adding the positives and negatives to whatever numbers doesn't change the process of actually multiplying decimals. Okay, we're just going to add a step to this. All right, so let's go with negative 3.5 times 0.03. Okay, notice here I did our multiplication with the parentheses. I want you to start getting used to this. That's why I'm using it. In this situation, I'm going to rewrite with it stacking so that I can do my multiplication a lot easier. All right, so grab a different color and show that. So off to the side, we want to take our negative 3.5 and we are going to multiply that by 0.03. We want to stack our numbers because this is how we normally do our multiplication. I'm going to first ignore the decimals and the negative sign so that I can do my first step, which is to multiply my numbers like normal. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus the 1 is 10. Okay, 0 times these numbers is just 0. So if you want, you could put zeros and then add, and you would still get 105 here. The second step is to determine the number of decimal places within the problem. So we have 1 within the first number and 2 in the second number. So I need 3 in my answer. 1, 2, 3. And we place the decimal. The last step now, I'm going to add this step here. So step number 4 is to look for positives or negatives and follow the same rules that apply to multiplying integers. Okay, when multiplying integers, we use a tic-tac-toe board where your positives win diagonally, negatives are everywhere else, or you can use your peace sign where you have your negatives at the top and your positive at the bottom. Okay, so we have, bless me, sorry, excuse me. So now we have a negative 3.5 multiplied by the 0.03. So we need to know what a negative times a positive is. If we look at our tic-tac-toe, we have a negative times a positive equals a negative. With your peace sign, if you cover up a negative times a positive, we're left over with a negative. So our answer should be a negative 0.105. All right, so the answer to this question is negative 0.105. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn the page and do one more problem, one more example. Continued on multiplying decimals. This is going to be your positive and negative. What if we have, let's say, 45.1 times negative 3.2. Okay, again, your first step, multiply your numbers like normal. These aren't stacked. I'm going to stack them first so that I can do my multiplication a whole lot easier. 45.1 times 3.2. Now, this is where a lot of people get in trouble. These numbers automatically stacked their decimals. But do we have to line up the decimal? No. While I was saying that, I wrote in my negative. I almost forgot it. Please be careful. Always try to keep your numbers looking the same when you're transferring them over and rewriting them a different way. Okay, so first step was we're multiplying. So 2 times 1, 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8, plus the 1 is 9. I'm done with the 2. Placeholder, 3 times 1, 3 times 5, carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus the 1 is 13. We do add these. 2, 3, 14, 4, and 1. Okay, multiplied my numbers like normal. Not worrying about the decimal or the negative right now. We were just multiplying. Now we're worrying about the decimal. We're counting how many decimals are in the problem. We have 1 in the first number, 1 in the second number. That gives us a total of 2 within the problem. So I need 2 total in my answer. 1, 2, and that's where I place my decimal. So for 45.1 times 3.2, you have 144.32 as your answer. Now, I want you to be where this can kind of make a little more sense on why we're placing the decimal there. If you take away the 2 decimal places and you just do 45 times 3, you will get close to 144. I'm going to show that off to the side. 45 times 3. Because that would technically be estimating those numbers. Okay, so 3 times 5 and 3 times 4 plus the 1 would be 12, 13. Okay, now remember, we estimated these numbers down. Okay, so that the value went down, but it's pretty darn close to the 144 that we're getting within our answer. Okay, the 2 decimal places is what gave us an exact value. Okay, so this was the estimated value. Okay, this is also a way that you can check to see if you're doing your multiplication correctly. All right, now that we have determined our decimal place values, okay, the last step was to determine whether or not it is positive or negative. Again, I'm gonna say always follow one of your ways, which is using the tic-tac-toe or the peace sign. It doesn't take but 2 seconds to draw either one of them, whichever one you're comfortable with. We have a positive times a negative, positive times a negative, positive times a negative gives us a negative. So our answer for this problem is a negative 144.32. or 144 and 32 hundredths negative.